This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. This video is very, very important. So please don't disregard it. Watch it in its entirety. It's something that everybody needs to know about. It's a video that I've been meaning to make for quite a long time. I just couldn't really find somewhere that had it organized and to the point of where I could read through it, express how to fight against it, and explain as simply as I possibly can what it is. Now, I constantly am talking about psychological warfare. Our lives are based and built off of the things that happen in our lives, right? You might have been somebody who was abused as a child. You might have been somebody who was in an abusive relationship. Those things take a psychological effect on you. We've all gone through it. No matter how difficult one's past might be compared to someone else's, you might be somebody who is a victim of satanic ritual abuse, which is something I can't possibly imagine. But me, you, everybody listening, we've all gone through events in our lives that have, in some way, shape, or form, traumatized us. An event that we always think back on that we were either devastated or hurt by. Could be something as simple as a breakup. Could be something as simple as not making a team or being a part of a club or losing a friend. Things like that. This is all psychological. And what the elites do is they use psychological warfare, mind control, manipulation, bullying, all these tactics on all of us every single day. And today I want to talk about gang stalking. Now, many Christians out there are victims of gang stalking. I am not a victim of gang stalking. I am a victim of cyber stalking and harassment. Although I encourage those out there in specific groups who want to engage in psychological warfare to try me any day of the week. Because just because I'm a Christian and a nice guy doesn't mean I always play nice. Especially with the enemy. Especially with people who are satanic and in cults. Oh, I don't play nice at all with people who attempt psychological warfare. In fact, I can play that game too. And that's why I'm doing this video. Because Christians need to be aware. And if you're not Christian, you're listening and you're a victim of gang stalking, you need to be aware too. Because you need to be aware of how to fight back against it. To overcome your own barriers, your own walls that you've put up. To fight these traumatic stalking, bullying, and psychological tactics that they use on people. So let's start with what exactly organized gang stalking is. And I'm going to go through this and read it. It's going to be a little while, but I want to explain it so people out there understand how they break people down, how emotionally they break them down. And it is a weapon that they use to force a lot of people who are specifically victims of satanic ritual abuse to commit suicide or to harm themselves because they can't take it anymore. They can't take the constant because it wears you down. Stalking, harassment, all that stuff, it can wear you down. So organized stalking is an occult form of mind control, which is used against an individual in a malicious attempt to reduce the quality of a person's life. So they will have a nervous breakdown, become incarcerated, institutionalized, experience constant mental, emotional, or physical pain, become homeless, and or commit suicide. This is a tool that our government uses. It is done using well-orchestrated accusations, such as lies, rumors, bogus investigations, setups, framings, intimidation, covert threats, vandalism, theft, sabotage, torture, humiliation, emotional terror, electronic, and general harassment. It is a ganging up by members of the community who follow an organization or an organizer and participate in a systematic and ritualistic persecution of an individual. Organized stalking is a destructive criminal program built on deception that exists to serve the intentions of a few who are aware of its true agenda. And again, this is what our government uses on these victims of satanic ritual abuse. And they'll try it on people such as myself, I'm sure, at some point in time. But remember, like the saying goes, Know your enemy. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer so you can understand how they operate. They are in violation of international human rights laws, including the right to privacy. Human integrity extends beyond the physical body. In their thoughts and in their personal environments and communications, all humans have the right to remain unobserved and unmolested. If sorcery lets them see through the victim's eyes, one's eyes are controlled by his brain. Thus, by controlling the victim's brain, the handlers can also see, hear, smell, and fear whatever the victim sees, hears, smells, and feels. Not only that, but they can also see what he thinks. For example, the handlers often comment on something only that person would know. And even worse, they can force thoughts that are not your own into your own mind. There is a clear and pressing need for vigilance in ensuring the compliance of any surveillance policy or practice with international human rights law, including the right to privacy. As an immediate measure, states should review their own national laws, policies, and practices to ensure full conformity with the international human rights law. Now remember, psychological operations are things that can't be traced back to get them in a court of law. They'll do things like cut you off in a car, follow you around a park, and they'll say, I'm not following anybody. I'm just here on my own. Little things like that will mess with a person's mind. Remember that. Article 5 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 7 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, both of which provide that no one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment, purposely heightened the responsibility of state parties to prevent such acts, as well as to create and support mechanisms to punish the perpetrators. This is how the stalking is organized. The most disturbing thing is that so many people can be deceived, bribed, blackmailed, or threatened into serving something so extremely terrible. It can be awful to learn what people will do when they want to be part of a large group and when they have approval from the state. The sponsorship and influence may originate from the same source such as a federal agency, such as the FBI. Apparently, the order may also come from a corporation, a group, or an individual that uses and pays for the influence of a federal agency. The field supervisors basically use their resources and influence as an engine to carry out these harassment campaigns. They are able to recruit neighbors, friends, and family of the target to participate in the harassment. This is done using sorcery, lies, threats, blackmail, and bribery again. Sometimes the harassers are unaware they are an annoyance to the targeted individual because they are mind controlled to do certain things at certain moments. The structure resembles a compartmentalized pyramid. It consists of the followers who participate in the harassment, the leaders, who are the field supervisors, who notify them, and financial support at the top of the structure. At the bottom of the structure, the cause outwardly appears constructive. It offers fellowship to people who participate. Most believe that their cause serves a higher purpose. And you can see the image here. These lower organizations like Freemasons, okay? Now this is there are Freemasons who elevate themselves throughout the lodge, who become 33rd degree members, and then elevate up the pyramid into different other groups, other secret societies, other networks. Okay? But the Freemasons are one of the bottom feeding organizations that will do stuff like this, that will be called on to do this. Now, as most of you probably saw, which I can't comment on heavily, but I will say something in regards to the Satanic Temple and some of the stuff that was going on and some of the stuff that they were trying to do, which was behind the scenes, organize a massive online cyber stalking campaign, as if I really cared, as if it was going to bother me when they were just going to message me over and over. I only get thousands of messages every day that I try to answer. But what they do is they will get these people together online or in person, but in this case online, and they'll send out a mass message to all of the members of this organization. And they'll say, go do this. And boom, suddenly within 5 minutes, thousands of messages are popping up on my channel telling me they're going to kill me, telling me that all of this stuff. Now, this isn't gang stalking necessarily, because this is just online threats, some of which were terroristic threats, which need to be addressed and are being addressed. But people out there go through this on a daily basis, where these people are doing this on the streets to them. And it's a lot of these people are people who were involved in satanic sex rings, who were victims from a young age. That's why a lot of these people don't speak out, because they get bullied. These people have information on them. They use it against them. And psychologically, they beat them into the ground. Now, one of the ways that this can be countered is they're sticking it back to them. Easier said than done, some people say. Well, you need to get yourself in a position where you could say, okay, I've noticed that this person's following me around every day. Follow me in a car, follow me in the grocery store. Guess what? Go up to them and go, hey, you want to go to the Red Lobster tonight? I've noticed you're following me. What do you think he's going to do? Shoot you in the middle of the store? Then what you do is you get in your car and you follow him to his house. You stand out on his street corner and wave every time he looks out the window. Psychological warfare can be played on both sides. The problem is that most of the people who are victims of this are people who have already been abused and beaten down. We have to pick them up and strengthen them up so that they can psychologically fight back, so that they can psychologically do something about this. That's what I do in the situation. If somebody was in my step foot on my property, well, they're mine. Okay? If they step on my property where they're not allowed to trespass, then you could do something more about it. But if they're going to psychologically mess with you and walk around and follow you, do it right back. Do it right back. Hey, you want to go to the Olive Garden tonight? I got a coupon. Huh? The guy, what? Yeah, let's go. I noticed you're following me all around. Where are you headed? What? Yeah, I'm coming with you. What do you mean? I'm following you right to your house. What's your wife making for dinner? Then find out his wife's name. Find out his name, where he works, and do it back. That's what they don't want you to know about psychological warfare. They don't want you to know, hey, you could do it right back to them. Because guess what? We're human and they're human. And they're not stronger than you. They have more will and more knowledge of this game and how it's played. That's because the masses aren't initiated in this. But now as I'm bringing awareness and others bring awareness to it, these types of things should not be able to affect you, because now you're initiated in understanding how the enemy works. And you psychologically go right back to him and stick it to him. Sit outside his mailbox. Don't touch his property. Just sit there. Watch him. Watch him go to work. Follow him. Go ahead. What's he going to do? Call the police? And you say, well, this person was following me around the grocery. Wanted to know what the problem was. They wouldn't tell me, so I went and followed them. The cops will scratch their head. They go, all right, this is pretty weird. I'm going to go now. Now, examples of how they provoke people. A situation. You've been harassed with noise campaigns, crowding, and collisions on your way to the bus stop. You feel like you've been through a minefield and have been hit multiple times. Your heart's beating fast. You sit somewhere in the bus, a couple seats down across from you. A conversation begins. You overhear bits and pieces of it. Person one, his car isn't working. You think my car is in the shop? Person two, they think it's the battery. You think in your head, what a coincidence, my car is getting a new battery. Person one, I saw him last week. His car looks bad. Person two, that's horrible. What is wrong with it? Person one, it just keeps breaking down. Person two, I don't want to be in that car in case it should just stop in the middle of nowhere. That would be sad. The other person, I hate to see him like that. He's crazy for keeping it. He knows it just keeps breaking down. This is psychological warfare. You see how this works? People knowing what you're doing, knowing your situation, knowing your car is broken down, you're taking the bus. This is how they'll work. This is how low they'll get, where they'll put two people there on a bus, probably two low-level Freemasons or two scumbags involved in some occultic organization who will sit a few seats down from you. You'll overhear the conversation because they'll deliberately make sure you hear it. Your heart will start beating fast because you'll think, wow, they're talking about me. How do they know this stuff? This is where stepping up and stepping in fights against psychological warfare. Where you go, oh, excuse me, you know about my car? Can you help? You want to buy me a new one? You want to ask your handler to buy me a new one? Hey, I love your shirt. Where'd you get it? Macy's? Come on, can I follow you home? Hey, where are you guys going? You bombard them back. You harass them back. You dox them and find out who they are. Those are the things that we need to do as Christians, is become aware of this stuff and help the people out there who have been victims of gang stalking fight against it. Because they are forcing many victims of satanic ritual abuse into committing suicide and harming themselves. And I believe personally, it's our job and obligation as brothers and sisters in Christ, whether they're awake or they're not to what's going on, to let them know that this is all psychological. And you could do it right back. This is how they work in this world. What do you think debt is, right? You think that they want to loan us money? They do it as a distraction, but they also do it because they know it wears you down. You got to get up for work tomorrow because you're in debt. Always in debt, a system of debt. And you're always drained by it, right? It beats you down emotionally, physically. You just constantly see the bills coming in. Water bill, gas bill, garbage bill, credit card bills, rent, mortgage, grocery bills. Got to get your car fixed. Got to get new tires. Insurance on everything. This is all part of psychologically how they destroy people. That is separate from gang stalking. But my point is that this is what they use on people. Examples of persecution by the government. An example of how people will participate in the cover-up of something they know is horrible is illustrated in the book titled The Franklin Cover-Up. Now, everybody's aware of the Franklin cover-up and Boys Town in Nebraska and the prostitution of these children to the elites. Because this is the same thing that almost every decade it seems like something gets close to breaking this open and then it just goes away. Well, they used psychological warfare then. High-ranking people covered up the entire thing. They participated in the harassment of witnesses and victims. That's why when it came time to testify, stories were flip-flopped. Things changed, just like McMartin. Always. Because they harass, they threaten, they do things that they can get away with, and they use intimidation. And that's the key to what they do. They use psychological warfare and intimidation. This is nothing more than MK Ultra on the streets, really. Them doing this to people. This is what our government does. This is what these organizations that are involved in the occult do. Their crimes are stalking, harassing with malicious intent, coercion, psychological, virtual rape, mental rape, breaking and entering. They'll break into someone's house. They'll just rearrange your furniture. Stuff like that. They won't break into your house and steal your wallet. They'll break into somebody's house and they'll take their bed and put it on the other side of the room. Or they'll reverse furniture. So when someone comes home, they know someone's been inside, but they can't prove it. Nothing's been stolen. You need to call the cops. What are they going to do? Cop's going to go, what happened? My furniture's been rearranged. Excuse me? I came home from work. My bed's on the other side of the room. Sir, have you had too much to drink? Maybe you're a little stressed out, sir. Now we know that the police are corrupted and how many of them are Freemasons, okay? So likely they're involved in these operations. But remember, they are humans and we are humans. God made all of us equal. They just, they claim they have the hidden knowledge. Well, us as Christians, we have salvation. We have what they can't have. Well, they can have it, but they choose not to because they think they're winning on Judgment Day. They think they're defeating God. They've denied Jesus Christ. We're on the winning team. But while we're here now, everything that's going on is because they manipulate the game. It's an unfair advantage. But if you know how to play the game back, then these tactics don't work. And if you're somebody who is a victim of abuse, I understand how you're already weakened and broken down. But there comes a point where psychologically you have to stand up and play their game right back to them. And realize that they're not going to come into your house and shoot you dead in the middle of the street somewhere. Or come into your house and shoot you dead there. I mean, they could. That's obviously an option. But while they're doing the gang stalking, while you're at the grocery, while you're out in public, they're not doing anything except intimidating you. Because the ultimate goal for them through gang stalking is to get the victim to kill themselves. That's the ultimate goal. They don't want to have to pull the trigger. They don't want to clean up that mess. It's easier for them to just bully you into submission. So they break in and out of homes, turn back clocks, move items around. They record victims' conversations without their consent. Assault and battery, those types of things occur, which leads to fatigue, depression, insomnia. All sorts of things. They slander people. They hack your computers, which is something I believe I've experienced or am experiencing right now. They blackmail. All of this stuff, this is all stuff that they do. Now, it doesn't mean that it might not end and they might actually kill somebody or do something to that extreme. If somebody has information, inside information that's dangerous to them, then they will. Am I a threat to them? No, absolutely not. I was never a victim of satanic ritual abuse. I'm a soldier for Christ. That's what I am. I don't have any inside info. I have the knowledge that I have through the discernment God's given me and the voice that I have. But I'm not a threat to anybody. People say all the time, aren't you afraid? Afraid of what? They don't care about me. They know that what I'm trying to do is win souls. And they know that this has to still be a fair, in some sense, playing field here, because free will's still involved. Now, they're manipulating people and lying to them and leading their souls to hell. But they know the rules, and they have to play by the rules. God is still in control. So someone like me, there's nothing that they need to do to someone like me. But people out there who are victims of SRA, who specifically have been abused and know people in high circles and can identify them, and they've broken free from these cults and free from that bondage, those are people that they target and they do it to. And it's not fair because, in general, it's not fair, right? But they're going against people who have already been beaten down and are weak. So we need to stand up and protect these people and help them be equipped, psychologically be equipped. Realize that God's still in control. They gang stalk people all the time. There's a lot of YouTube channels that get gang stalked. A lot. I by no stretch of being gang stalked, but I would embrace it. I think it'd be kind of fun. I mean, I don't leave the house, so I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to come in my home? You stand outside my window? I'll come out with a cup of hot cocoa and ask you what you're doing. And if I think you're suspicious, when you leave, I'll follow you to your house. And I'll ring the doorbell and ask your wife, is it okay your husband's sitting outside my window all day? You mind that he's doing that? You creeped out a little bit? I'm a little creeped out. What's for dinner? Is that pasta? Yeah, I'll have a seat. Can I have some? Psychologically, these people are only able to do this because everybody out there is unaware of it. And they use fear and intimidation to beat down the broken. That's what they do. Now, cults are usually the people behind it. I can't say any specific cults, but cults, covens, cults, Satanists, occultists, Luciferians, organizations that practice black magic and do these things are into psychological warfare. So as Christians, we need to be equipped and we need to be prepared to go out and defend other Christians who are victims of this, because I see too many Christians, I see too many people who are being gang stalked and they have nobody to turn to. How about we put our hands out together and we say, you know what? If we see this type of stuff going on, then we'll do it right back. We'll play the game right back to them and protect these people from being beaten into submission, into committing suicide. Protect them from that. Because the occult operates like cowards. Because they are cowards. Let's be realistic. People in the occult are natural born losers. That's what they are. They're pathetic excuses for human beings. They're germs, so to speak. They didn't want to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. They thought it was cool to rebel, even though Jesus to me is the ultimate rebel. Believing in Jesus right now, even though they'll pretend the statistics are, oh boy, everybody's a Christian. It takes guts to be a Christian and speak up in this world because they've taken free speech away from us. But these people are people who've likely been bullied at some point in their lives. And now they think they're cool and they do it back to people or they go after people. And we can't stand for that. I'm not going to stand for it. I said it so many times in this channel because people always call me a bully. I grew up, I was the bully of the bully. I bullied the guys who bullied other people. I didn't pick on the weak. I didn't pick on some kid who was with glasses sitting in the corner because he didn't like the same things I did. I didn't pick on him. I didn't care. I protect somebody like that. I pick on the kid who thinks he's cool because he's a drug dealer. Picking on other kids, I go after those kids. Those kids were the targets for me because they had it coming and they deserved it. So I give them a verbal lashing and sometimes more. Now we're at a point in this world where we're seeing the occult rise. We're seeing a rise in Satanism, a rise in Luciferianism, whatever you want to call it, because they pretend they're separate organizations and believe in separate things. All these people, there's so many. The Church of Satan, the Satanic Temple, so many different organizations, right? Luciferians, Masons. We even have it within Christianity with the Jesuits. We have it with Zionism. We have it all over. We need to be a strong defense line for these people who are victims. They need to have people they can reach out to. So I want people to know, you can reach out to me if you're somebody who has gone through this. I can't get back to every single person. I get so many messages every day, but please message me. Let me know what's going on. And I will contact people and work with people. And as Christians, we will make sure that you have people there to psychologically help you and to bully them back from beating you down. Because this is nothing more than a government operation. That's what it is. And I know for people out there who are victims of gang stuff, and they go, well, it's easier said than done. Oh, you know, because they feel if somebody says this is what you can do to fight against it or prevent it, they go, no, it's more than that. It's, you know, you don't know, and I don't know. I don't. But I'll tell you right now, the only way to fight psychological warfare is with psychological warfare. It's as the saying goes, right? Fight fire with fire. So be equipped and aware of how they work. I'm going to leave an article linked up. I've been reading some stuff from it. And this article goes on and it talks more about Satanism and the occult and how these people operate using this and the organizations involved and how they get people together and send out a mass message. And all of these minions and cronies will go out and do their bidding. If they live in the same town, they'll go out there and stand outside their house or follow them around the grocery store. Call their house repeatedly, call their cell phone. Force people to change their numbers, to change their locations. This is what they do. But why let them continue to do stuff like this? We have Jesus Christ with us. We have the Most High. I would like to think that he would expect us to reach our hand out to others who are in need and who are being victimized by these people. And that's what I'd like to do. So if you're people out there who want to organize and come together and not do anything illegal, not do anything ridiculous, come together and say, okay, this is what's going on. We have a Christian here who's going through this stuff. These are the people behind it. And just do exactly what they do. Send out a mass message to Christians. Let them know, oh, so-and-so's doing it. Send him 1 million tweets, 1 million posts on their YouTube or their Facebook. Start there. Harass them back for harassing. And just let them know if they call they can't do anything. If they call the police because you're sending messages, well, don't say anything ridiculous. Don't threaten them. Think. Be smart. Psychologically go back after them the same way that they do to these victims of abuse. So if you're somebody out there who's been a victim of gang stalking, whether you're a victim of satanic ritual abuse, if you're somebody who's just revealed a lot of important things and got the government's attention, just know that people like me are here. If you need help, we'll do everything that we can. I have a channel with a large audience. If I have to do a video talking about someone specifically and verbally humiliate them, I will to help out. Because I hate to see people beaten down by these cowards who try to use psychological warfare as a weapon against people who are weak or people who very easily can crack or don't know how to fight against it. So I'll leave the article linked up. It's a really good article. I've been meaning to talk about it for a while. I couldn't find something that was as organized as this, which explained it well. I could continue reading. I mean, it's really, really long. But I wanted to just give everybody out there that you're young or old just knowledge that this is a government psychological operation. You could read for yourself about how they work and what they do, and we could network together, and maybe we could form some type of barrier to fight against it. to counter it. My prayers to everybody out there who has been a victim of gang stalking. Please stay strong. Stay strong in your faith. Know that you could always turn to God for anything. He knows what your needs are before you ask. But don't give up. Don't let these people literally bully you to your breaking point. There are people here who care, and we're going to do something about it. Again, I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.